Welcome to Inside the Skev, and I'm your host, Aaron Masliansky. Today I have Dianna Hamann here from The Wine Goddess, and I'm so excited to speak with her because she is such an active part of the Evanston business community, the community at large in general. And just to give everybody a little bit of background on Dianna, she has the Wine Goddess business. It's on Main Street. It's a really awesome shop, and they opened up an Oasis. We're going to talk all about that, but her background is in literature. She has a degree from UC Berkeley, and then she fell into the wine business, and we're going to learn all about it, but she's been instrumental in the Chicagoland wine business, and she really takes a lot of things that she's done in her literary training into her marketing. So it's very, very interesting. But Dianna, thank you so much for joining me here today.
You got it. It's nice to be here, and it's Hamann.
Oh, my
I know it's difficult. A lot of people say Hammond. No, Hamann, like ham and eggs.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I will not make that mistake again. Thank you.
Masliansky?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
So, all right. So you've got one on me now.
All right, cool.
But how did you get into wine? Like, tell us a little bit about your story.
Sure. I absolutely fell into it. I did get a degree from UC Berkeley, and I thought that I was going to go on to get a PhD in literature, and the 4 or 5 schools that I applied to had other ideas. So I was kind of like, oh God, what do I do now? And my roommate at the time, when I was living in San Francisco, was one of the buyers for Whole Foods. She got me a job in the wine department at Whole Foods. I mean, literally, she was like, I can get you a job at Whole Foods. Do you want to work in cheese? Do you want to work in, I don't even know, coffee, right? I'm like, I don't know, wine, I guess.
Yeah.
So I worked there for a couple of months, and then, kind of by the grace of all that's good and holy, my gal pal from here, from Lisle, Illinois, where I went to high school, she had gotten a job working marketing at what was then called Virtual Vineyards, but which morphed into Wine.com in Napa, and they were looking for a member of their wine team. I secretly think they were looking for somebody to empty out the spit buckets at the end of our, copious tasting, but I was down for that, I'm not above it at all. But what was great about that gig is I was working on a very, very small wine buying team with 2 master sommeliers and a master of wine. I didn't even know what those credentials were at the time. But these 3 particular men really took me under their wing and kind of shaped my wine mind and, taught me that one could be a wine professional. I hadn't even considered that. And that B, it was a really cool job where I could apply, my writing background and my degree, because my job was to, at that time, take home a case of wine to my little Berkeley apartment. It was a little.
How many square feet?
Well, actually, it wasn't that little. It was pretty sweet. It was 1,000 square feet, and it was a cottage in the back of Annie Leibowitz's sister's house.
Really?
Yes, and I didn't know that. Her name is Susan Leibowitz Steinman, but I'd never put together the Leibowitz part until I was watching her cats one weekend for her, and I was in the main house, this beautiful, very kind of artsy Berkeley house, and I saw a bunch of photographs from that John and Yoko, that very famous photograph where John is naked and Yoko is fully clothed and he's kind of like wrapped, around her.
Yeah.
But they were photos that I had never seen before, from this shoot. And I was like, well, God, how'd she get those cool photos? And finally I was like, oh, doy.
She had a nice connection there.
Yes, a really good connection. But anyway, getting back to it, my gig was to take 12 bottles of wine home with me, and then on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I would just pop the corks and write about them.
Wow.
So it was a great.
I mean, that sounds
job.
amazing. Did you like wine before the job started?
I did like it. I mean, I didn't really give it a whole lot of thought. I mean, I had always been in fine dining and waitressing. And back then, honestly, wine was more of a kind of thorn in my side because people would ask me questions about it. And I was like, I'm 22. I don't know if this converts
it's
to
red
mean
or it's white.
I don't know. What do you want it to be? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it wasn't until I was 27 when I got the job at wine.com that I really grew to love it as I do now.
So you love it, and that led you to eventually start your own store. When
Yes.
did you open up the Wine Goddess?
Yeah, so I came back to the wine.com kind of went belly up, at least the incarnation that we knew it as, in 2001. So I came back to Chicago, and I did a couple wine buying gigs for restaurants, and then I got a really sweet job because it was right around the time that I was starting a family at the Chopping Block Cooking Schools in Chicago, where I was their wine director, and so that was when I could teach, which I love teaching. I was doing 2 or 3 wine classes a week for them. And it was a good mommy gig too, because, the wine classes are at night. So, my husband would be home by the time that I was, doing the bulk of the teaching.
Oh, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So you're teaching there. I mean, and then how did the store start?
Sure. So I was there for, I think, 11 years. And my second child was about 3 years old. And I was kind of getting sick of commuting into the city because that added, about an hour on each way. And so I saw the storefront that opened up on Main Street that looked pretty good to me. It was about the right size. And so I kind of told myself, it's funny because I never really said, okay, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I basically said, okay, I'm going to do this until somebody tells me no. So I'm going to get a lease until somebody says, no, you can't have the space, or I'm going to try to get a loan. And most of the people said, no, you can't have a loan. But then finally somebody did say that I could have a loan. And then I went to get a license, and the city said, okay, you can have a license. So I just kind of opened it without really thinking.
Did you feel like
deeply.
you had imposter syndrome?
No.
You knew it was right.
I if there's one thing that I know up and down and backwards and forwards, it's wine, Plus, frankly, I had also, in that 11 years that I was with the Chopping Block, I was a wine consultant. So if people wanted to open up their own wine shop, they called me in, and I basically opened it for people. So I do the first 3 months at various places, find all their wine, use all my connections to, get the good deals and get the good vendors and all that good stuff. So I had done a complete opening set a few times. So I had the spreadsheets, I knew how to do it. I knew how much it would cost, all that good stuff.
Where are some of the places that you helped open?
So there was a couple in San Francisco in the Bay Area, and then there were a couple in the western suburbs of Chicago in Hinsdale and Burr Ridge.
Wow. And then what brought you to Evanston?
So I live here.
Yeah.
I moved here about 20 years ago from the city. My husband and I, we were living in Logan Square. His twin brother was living up here. It looked nice. It looked leafy. I really wanted to take him back to Berkeley, but he is a, Midwestern corn-fed boy. He was like, nope, I'm not going to the Bay Area. And so I figured, Evanston is as close to Berkeley as we're going to get around
I think
here.
so.
So we made kind of a, we both got what we wanted out of it.
Yeah, Evanston, I think, has the most Berkeley feel out of anywhere in the Chicagoland area.
For sure. Yeah, Oak Park is a second rival, but I think that the lake and the leafiness is, it makes me think of more natural places.
100%.
Yeah.
Oak Park is a Evanston wannabe.
Oh, them's fighting words.
Actually, I've been going out to Oak Park lately. I have some clients buying a place out there, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
But there's there's so many similarities between the two
Sure.
towns, and I'm going to pick Evanston. Just
I mean, we have the lake. What Oak Park has that Evanston doesn't have is, and I know that you know this, when you're driving out to Oak Park, there's really no easy way to get to Evanston. If you're in the western suburbs, or God forbid you're on the south side of Chicago, it's
to get to Oak Park. You're saying no easy way to get there.
No, I'm saying to Evanston. I used to live in the western suburbs. I grew up, like I said, in Lisle. And it was just always kind of so hard to get here,
Yeah.
As the crow flies, it shouldn't be that hard to get here, but it is.
But it is.
Yeah.
At one point, so back in the day, I worked at the Village of Skokie. I was in their planning department. I was an intern there. And I was going through like some of their old archives, and they had this comprehensive plan from, 1966 maybe. And part of the plan showed an extension of Lakeshore Drive up McCormick all the way through Evanston, and then cutting over on Gulf Road all the way down to like Schaumburg and connecting with I-90. So it would have been a massive expressway.
Sure.
That would have connected Evanston.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of glad it didn't happen.
Yeah, no,
it would have ruined
know.
the charm.
No, I hear you.
Yeah. So you opened up this shop. I mean, what types of wine do you sell? I mean, is it types of wines you'd see at like a Whole Foods, or is it specialty, or everything?
Well, I guess it's certainly more akin to what you would see at Whole Foods than like a Jewel or like a Safeway or something like that. I guess that we tend to carry a smaller batch, in the same way that people like craft beer. It's kind of like the same vibe with craft wine,
Yeah.
We like to carry smaller producers only because I am a small family-owned entity. I like to also visit with and carry the wines of, the little guys. Anybody can carry the wines of the big guys. They're all over the place. So, kind of artisanal, craft, small batch, and if all is humanly possible, either organic, biodynamic, or sustainably farmed.
How do you find those? I mean, it's just through the connections that you...
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, for sure. I've been, especially here in Chicago now, some of the distributors that I work with now are literally the same guys and gals that I've been working with for 20 years. So they come in, they have a bag full of wine, we gossip for a while, and then we get down to it and we taste. Usually the tastings go really, really quickly, just because, no, yes, no, yes, I love this, and
God,
how many cases can I get? They're pretty fun. I have to admit, they're pretty fun. Yeah, so distributors bring me wine, and we take it from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, so you have all these wines, but I mean, you also cater to people who really love wine. Tell us about like your wine clubs and things like that you get to engage with the community.
Yeah, for sure. So we have a giant wine club. And one of the things that I love about Evanston, and one of the reasons why I've lasted through the pandemic, and we're coming up on 10 years now, is because Evanston is very hardcore when it comes to supporting small business and, especially choosing small business over, big corporate entities, which is great. But when Binny's was coming to town, I thought, oh gosh, how am I going to deal with this? And so I put out a newsletter that says, hey, these guys, they hardly take any margins. I mean, that's their shtick. They undercut the little guy left and right because they want you to come there and they want you to buy bulk, right? But I said, one of the ways that people can still stop at my shop, or shop at my shop, and, get close to Binny's prices is you can join the wine club, because we extend a 10% discount on everything to all of our wine club members. So then they're getting very close to Binny's prices while also being in our wine club, and they're getting introduced to 2 new wines every month. And I'm super duper lucky because, I definitely have a writing background, but frankly, Megan, who's my good friend and my colleague at Wine Goddess, she's a literature professor at Northwestern, and she loves to write the write-ups for the wine club. So each wine comes with a full page write-up about the, history of the appellation, the place where the wine is grown, about the winery itself, about the grape variety, about the wine itself, and about, what food pairings and cheese pairings would go with the particular wine. And not only is she great at writing these write-ups up, but she's also an amazing chef. I mean, gosh, I can't hold a candle to her when it comes to, pairing wine with food and all that good stuff. So I'm super lucky because she geeks out on that. So nowadays, I find the wine with Meg's help, but she's the one that sits down and does these write-ups. So now we have about 500 people in the wine club.
Wow.
I think it's the biggest in the state, but it's great, and it pays my rent in one single day. The 5th of every month is like, wine clubs come out, it's payday, so to speak. But through the pandemic, especially, and lately with the supply chain, it's been really, really tough just finding wines to supply 500 people in one go,
I mean, where do you ship it out yourself, or?
So most of the people pick it up, but we also ship out.
Okay.
So yeah, but most of it is local, although we are shipping to California and to Oregon and to Washington. Basically, all my hippie friends from back in the day, they're like, "Oh, we'll be in your wine club." So we're shipping all over the country, but most of it, the lion's share, is definitely people local that will come physically pick it up.
Do you have a pretty big back of the house?
No, that's the thing.
So what do you do? Like, how do you?
It's so bad.
Like, you're just taking it off the shelf and then having people pick up?
No, we are not taking it off the shelf. So basically, and today is Wine Club Day.
Oh, boy.
By the way.
Thank you for doing this today.
It's okay.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, today we're getting all these shipments. So, not to bore you with the details, but there's 3 different club levels. So the first club level is called Cheap and Good, and that's the one that I need, 24 cases of this wine, 18 cases of this wine, and 11 of this wine to satisfy that club. So 28, 18, and all these cases just come in these big case stacks. And for a while we were like, well, what if we put them over there in the corner and then just put a tabletop on them and we can have people sit around, because we're also a wine bar,
Yeah.
So we've thought about all these things, but we basically, for about 5 days, have giant piles of wine that people are drinking around and eating cheese plates on, and all that stuff. But hopefully it's a working retail store,
Yeah.
so people get that, and when people have to be prepared when they're coming in to have like a cheese plate with their gal pal or whomever, you're going to hear us ripping open cases and stocking wine, and there's going to be that clink of, because it's both things.
Do you ever think about needing a bigger space? Or do you imagine this growing a lot?
No,
Okay.
I don't imagine it growing. I'm old. You know what? I don't know. I have a great life right now. I've had people talk to me about opening up in other spots, and I've thought about it and, expanding into Chicago or up north or whatever, but I don't know. I'm pretty happy with what we have right now.
Yeah.
And like I said, I have a pretty sweet existence right now. And I think that as soon as we did expand, I don't know, it might lose a little bit of its charm. I don't know. And I also love my spot on Main Street. I love my neighbors.
Yeah, I love your spot too.
It's just a good vibe on that block. Everybody's cool to each other. We all help each other out. So I don't know. At the end of the day, I just like to, I like my days off. I don't know if I do.
You like to live your life. I think that's okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our supporters.
Moving day is a happy day, but how can you be sure all of your stuff will get to the new place in the same condition they left the old place? Upgrade your experience to First Class Moving and Storage. You'll get a team of professionals who treat all of your belongings with care and have the right tools to make the job go smoothly. They even offer a full packing service. Upgrade to First Class Moving and Storage. They're local and independently owned. For more info, visit the website at firstclassmovers.com. That's the number 1, stclassmovers.com.
Hi, I'm Aaron Masliansky, longtime Skokie and Evanston resident, host of Inside the Skev, and local real estate expert. As a community connector and realtor with Dreamtown Realty in downtown Evanston, I know firsthand what makes the Skev such an amazing place to live. When I'm helping my clients buy and sell properties inside of the Skev or out, I'm doing it with the best technology and support team behind me at Dreamtown. During the pandemic, I've been able to help my clients seamlessly stay on track with their home search. From immersive 3D Matterport tours, professional photos, to virtual open houses, my clients can find their homes safely and comfortably, and even from their couch. When you're ready to make a move, know that I'll be here to help. You can always find out more about me at skevinston.com/real estate. Again, that's skevinston.com/real estate, or email me at aaron@skevinston.com. But your spot, I mean, I spoke about it with Catherine Gotzik. I've had her on a couple times, and recently, and we were talking about the Oasis and everything else. Tell us about how the Oasis started and what that is for those who've never been there.
So, what do they say? Necessity is the mother of all invention, right? Mm-hmm. So this COVID thing happened. I don't know if you remember, but so we had to, just from the day that we shut down, everything shut down, then we got the notice, wait, you're an essential business. And I was like, what? Yeah. I was as shocked as anyone. I'm like, cool, I guess, And we never missed a day. We were just cranking. That first year of the shutdown, we were busier than we've ever been, and our staff shrunk to 3 people because at that point, some of our employees didn't know if it was safe to work, and all of that good stuff. So it basically became a warehouse. So we had to do all sorts of things because we shut our door at that point, and we had this little cart at the front of the store that, you'd call in orders, and we basically, in masks and everything, bring them to the front of the store, swipe cards, et cetera, et cetera. So to answer your question, the Oasis really came because there wasn't any indoor dining. Mm-hmm. And this was somewhat important for my business, but my business has always been mostly retail, in-store wine bar is secondary, but the restaurants on either side of me, that was their whole business, So, and they definitely did, the to-go stuff for a while. And they too got down to kind of skeleton crews. But when the weather got warmer, I don't know who it was. It might have been Eric from La Principale. I'm not sure who came up with the idea of just creating restaurants on the street. But we pitched it to the city, and I just assumed the city would say no, but they were like, totally, go for it. Do whatever you want, basically. I was like, cool, okay, let's do this thing. So that's where that began, the Custer Oasis. And then the second year of COVID, it was still, people were still dicey about coming back inside, and then we had that second wave last summer. So then we just said, okay, let's do it again. But by that time, it had become so, it's pretty successful, and people it's just a thing that we do now in the summer. That this summer, even though most COVID restrictions are gone, the city once again said, oh yeah, no, you're doing good. It doesn't seem to be causing any problems. No. So that's how that kind of happened. And then this year, we very much, because COVID is one thing, but at the end of the day, you're drinking and eating on a street, and you want it to be prettier, mm-hmm. right? So we lobbied, and we successfully got funding from a few different buckets for a mural to be painted on that metro wall, which is pretty ugly right now. It's like peeling paint and kind of gnarly. But they're starting this week, as a matter of fact. They're going to put a beautiful mural on that wall.
Do you happen to know who the artist is?
Brett Whitcomb.
Okay.
I think that's his name. Whitcomb. Yes, I think that's it. But if I'm wrong, I'll email you and correct it.
The only reason I ask is because I saw another mural being painted on another metro wall on Oak and Clark, and I was wondering if it's the same.
I don't believe so.
No.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
Okay.
But anyway, the city also finally got rid of the rat's nest in those beds up the metro wall and put in landscaping last week. And they're also, I think, going to give us those festoon lights that are on
awesome.
Dempster. So my sincere hope is that once those three things are in place, people, will consider us definitely a destination and not just we can't be inside because of COVID. Let's go to the oasis.
I love it. I mean, I think that Custer is such a perfect street for that, especially right by the train. It's an attraction to the area. You have a new development going on by the Vogue. And it's just Restaurant Row.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that would really kind of put the cherry on top is to redo the street and maybe put like a cobblestone or brick pavers or something.
That would be so
a little fountain
cool.
or something.
That would be so cool.
It would be amazing.
Yeah. I know that our good friend Paul Zalmazak in the city's economic development office was at one point, and I think we might do it perhaps next year, wanting to do kind of like a semi-permanent like public square right there on Custer. So who knows? Maybe that'll happen, but I don't know if the cobblestones are in the near future.
No, probably
anyway.
not. They're not cheap, and they've got to redo Main Street again.
Yeah, I know. Well, the crazy thing is that they're going to rip up the sidewalks next summer.
Yeah.
So they're doing they did the water reclamation thing, which was just like, oh my God, it was crazy. But next summer, they were going to do it this summer, but we were like, please, for the love, do not do it this summer.
So they postponed it.
Next summer, they're going to do the sidewalks. And at the end of the day, it'll be great, but it'll just be another painful summer.
Yeah.
Megan and I were like, should we just close the shop and go to France?
No, you're a necessary business around here.
I know, right?
I mean, but you write about this in your newsletters. I want to talk about your newsletters. You talk about what's going on there. You talk about social issues.
Sure.
I mean, the issues with Roe v. Wade and everything that just happened. I mean, that's not every business wants to get into politics or even local politics and complain about different things, but you're so honest and you could see it coming through in your writing. What made you decide to do that? And have you gotten pushback from anyone?
Really bizarrely, no, I have not. But that's also because I very much know my audience. You know what I mean? Like, I know the people that get my newsletters, and they tend to forward it, but usually you would probably forward them to your like-minded friends anyway. I'm surprised that I don't get more pushbacks because sometimes I'm just like, oh, this is going to be a doozy. But like the Roe v. Wade one, I looked and only 3 people unsubscribed, and that's kind of amazing. And more power to them. I would unsubscribe too if it was a pro-life newsletter came my way from my local burger joint. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I am always surprised that there isn't a little bit more pushback. But I guess when I first started the place, I knew that you can buy wine from anywhere. And I knew that what I had to do is to make myself a community center, and that's why I really pushed to have the Wines by the Glass capabilities, because that used to be illegal. You couldn't have a...
Right, you even got the law changed so you could sell glasses in your store so you could compete with someone like Benny's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to the city's credit, they saw that they needed to do that for me, and they also saw that they'd be getting more money from the liquor tax from me, so they're like, sure, do it, right?
Yeah, it's a win-win.
It's a win-win. But anyway, I knew that I had to... not make myself central to the community, but like when people come in, honestly, we don't really even talk about wine that much. Like most of my customers, I'm like, oh my God, how is your cat? How is the round of chemotherapy for your cat? Because I know that things, how is your daughter's wedding? Like, what happened with your weird mother-in-law who you don't like staying for a week at your house? Give me the goods, And then we talk about wine as a completely secondary thing. Like, okay, and I'm having filet mignon. What should I have? And I have $20 and buy me a wine, and
Yeah.
So I guess that it's really kind of like this, it's become this kind of community house that I've always wanted it to be. And you can't help but, when that road decision came down, like the women who came in to my shop, everybody was just like glassy-eyed and despondent. So to not talk about it, like I was actually kind of not upset. Well, I was very upset about the row thing, but
Yeah.
that it came out on a Friday because I had this whole newsletter planned to talk about Live at the Custer Oasis, our live music series that we're going to start. But I was just like, you can't be like, rah, rah, shish, goomba, come to these live music concerts when everybody is like doom scrolling.
Yeah.
They're just going to doom scroll right past your post about your dumb music series. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's kind of like, it's not a choice. You have to address the elephant in the room because wine is this joyous thing, or it should be a joyous thing, but you would be insincere if you didn't think about all of the crazy things. And I'm only 49, but this can't be normal. This can't be a normal time. You know what I mean? And to treat it like everything's fine and you just need Beaujolais, I think is an insincerity that would just come woefully across to people. And then, maybe they wouldn't want to come in for their bottle of wine. I feel like so many times people, and especially during the pandemic, this was true.
Yeah.
People were so desperate to not to talk to us in particular, but to talk to each other that, people would come and pick up their little packages on that little table that we had in the front of the store, and there would be a line of people, but they'd still just want to talk to you about their lives and your life and the pandemic and, blah, blah, blah. And like people would be waiting for their stuff, but they weren't even that upset because they'd be glomming into the conversation too and saying, well, that happened to me and this, blah, blah, blah,
People just needed the
People
social
needed
connection.
the social connection. And I think, getting back to the newsletter thing, in my mind, these are not controversial topics so much. Like, I did one about the horrible school shooting, It's
Right.
just like, these are horrible things, and this is not normal. And to treat it as normal, I think, is shirking your duty. Certainly not as a wine merchant, but as a human. You know what I mean?
Well, I think many people come who need a drink because of what's going on.
There is
So
definitely that.
You're hitting people where they need it in many different levels. And,
Sure.
and they come to your store to have a drink, to be able to converse and talk about it over a glass of wine. And I think that makes even more sense. Yeah, you're very forward into what's going on. And I think that people just appreciate that rawness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is not a normal time.
No, and to treat it as such is just like, that's not normal,
No.
So to me, I'm just like, of course I send out these newsletters. What else? I'm feeling all of these horrible things too. And I also just think that it helps to tell people that it's not normal, and that if they're super bummed and they're like despondent and they're just like, I can't, I want to jump out of my skin, that they're not alone.
Yeah, no,
It's
a community center. It really, really is.
Yeah.
And I love how you've been, involved with the community. The first place that I saw you was a fundraiser for Evanston Community Foundation, and it was a virtual wine tasting.
Oh, great, yeah.
And you were talking about the different wines and everything else, and it was.
Sure.
It was a great way to raise money for the organization, but it was a lot of fun, to learn about it. And you're just so engaging, and completely different than going to the grocery store and buy. It's like you're buying the experience when you go to your store.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
Yeah. And I don't want to be a jerk, but don't buy your wine at a grocery store. It's just, they don't even try. Whole Foods is great. Buy your wine at Whole Foods if you have to buy your wine at a grocery store. But sometimes I go to like Jewel and I'm in their department and I'm like, God, they're not even trying. Why do they have 18 different flavors of Barefoot Cellars? They're not even trying, The one exception to this is Valley.
Yeah.
I love Valley. Valley, they definitely have some supermarket wine, but they're at least trying, and they have some really good wine. I've actually pulled their manager over once, and I said, thank you for trying. Nobody in the system, like the Dominick's, the Jewel, the Safeway, ecosystem, it's just like they all, they have a list of stuff that they have to buy. And, even me that knows wine, I'm hard-pressed to find something at these places, except for Valley, with a modicum of effort. And yeah, maybe stuff is going to be $1 more at my store, but like you can swing a dead cat in there and find something great. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Whereas you really have to look hard at the jewels of the world to find something good. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll
if
say.
you care about your wine, I'd say that's a good recommendation. Now, if somebody is interested in like getting part of your wine club and actually learning more about the store, what's the website and what does it cost for the wine clubs?
So sure. So there's 3 different levels to the wine club, and unfortunately, in about 2 months, we're going to, for the first time in 10 years, raise our prices because it's just so hard to get the quantities that we need at the old prices. Everything is just like crazy gone up. So I'm going to tell you the new prices. The cheap and good is $40 a month, and you get 2 wines that equal $40. The second tier is called the Passport Club, and we take like a different appellation. So we'll do like Chianti or Napa or Mendoza, Argentina, and you'll get 2 wines from that place. That's $60. And then the big kahuna, which of course we have the least amount of people in, is what we call our cellar select, and that's 2 bottles a month for $100. Mm-hmm. So you go to winegoddess.com, and up at the top there's a little button that says Wine Club, and you can sign up there.
And you can sign up for your newsletter there as well.
Yes, on the bottom of the page, winegoddess.com, there's a little box that says, would you like to sign up for the newsletter? You put your email in there, and the newsletters usually come out every Friday. And then we also offer wine classes. Both myself and Megan teach wine classes, and we're about to announce 4 more starting in July on Bastille Day. Actually, we're doing Wines of France appropriately, and then every 2 weeks we do wine classes on a Thursday evening.
Oh my God, that sounds like so much fun.
The wine classes are super fun. Yeah. Definitely.
Is it, will you go to one class or is it several classes?
So it's just a one-off. Yeah,
Okay.
We just concluded we had something called the Wine Academy, which was a 5-week series, but we do that like every 4 years or something. Most of them are one-offs.
Oh my God, so much fun.
Yeah.
Well, I love what you're doing. Thank you for being part of Evanston.
Oh, you got it. I'm thankful that Evanston has me.
Yes, we all are. And I think, for those listening, it's the great place to get wine, to sit outside at the Custer Oasis. If anything, sign up for the newsletter. It's entertaining, and you'll learn a lot about what's going on. So,
and about wine.
And about wine. Yes, there is information about wine in it too, for sure. Well, Dianna, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to getting your newsletter on Friday and getting a glass of wine.
Very good. Thank you, Aaron, for having me. I really appreciate being here.
Pleasure.